Wow, episode 50, cue the confetti, because in this episode, you get to meet the other two new co-hosts of BRC and Friends, Jorge Bautista and Micky Scottbey Jones. Jorge is a pastor in the United Church of Christ near me in San Mateo, California, and Micky is a coach and justice doula currently hailing from Nashville, Tennessee. As you will hear, both are wicked smart, will keep me in check, and have an honest and deep passion for justice. We also talk about Star Wars, propaganda, and MTV's Catfish. Like I said, break out the confetti because it's going to be a party. Thanks for being here. Now sit back and enjoy episode 50 with Jorge Bautista and Micky Scottbey Jones. My name is Bruce Reyes-Chow, and this is BRC and Friends. Each episode, my co-hosts and I chat with activists, artists, academics, and adventurers to discuss politics, faith, pop culture, technology, and as you will discover, pretty much everything that pops into our heads. This is basically an excuse for us to hang out with friends and colleagues and riff about things that matter. Welcome to BRC and Friends. All right. Well, we are here today with Jorge and Micky to introduce to many of you. Some of you may already know them, but to give you a chance to meet our other two co-hosts who are going to be rotating in and out with me as we talk with folks who are making the world a better place. I'm really excited for you all to get to know Jorge and Micky today. So first, I'm going to ask them to just introduce themselves, share your pronouns, how we pronounce your names, and a little bit of the bio that goes on all the things, so folks just get a little bit of context about what you do when you're not hanging out on podcasts. So I'll invite Jorge, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Jorge Bautista. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what else you want to know. I mean,
where do you work?
Yes, I do have a job.
Yes, I'm not paying you.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. I'm. You're gonna make me say it, aren't you? I'm a pastor at the Congregational Church of San Mateo. I think just down the street from where you're at, Bruce. Been there. Actually, next year is going to be my 11th year or 10th year. I don't even remember, but it's a place where I started as an intern, part-time. And then the past 6 years, been there full time. So ordained with the United Church of Christ.
All right, awesome, cool. Well, I'm glad you're here, and we'll talk a little bit about how we know each other in a minute. Micky, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Micky Scottbey Jones, and I use she/her pronouns, and I am kind of a weird unicorn mystic. I don't know. Nomad Christian. I've been like all the denominations at some point.
You've been all the things.
All the things. And I kind of see myself as, well, I call myself the justice doula because for a long time I was a birth and postpartum doula. So I supported, families that were bringing new life into the world, basically accompanying them, like I can't make you birth any faster or make it any easier, but I can be there with you. And what I realized is that those same skills can be transferred to people that are birthing anything into the world, right? Who have a great idea, who want to change the world in some way, who, just want to be a good pastor to their congregation, whatever it is. They also need that accompaniment, somebody saying that they're with you and they see you. And so that's really the work that I do in the world. And it takes a whole lot of different forms. I'm always doing a bunch of different things. Sometimes it's leading a pilgrimage. I mean, not right now because hello, COVID. Or it's, doing a workshop or literally meeting one-on-one with somebody as their movement chaplain. So depending on the day, I'm doing 5 different things.
And you and I both share a love of Enneagram.
Yes. So I'm also
Jorge, are you an Enneagram person?
Oh gosh, I stay away from numbers and
well,
my partner loves it. I don't know. I like, you're gonna put a number on me. I had to grow up memorizing numbers. I really struggle with statistics and stuff. So no, I'm not an Enneagram person.
Well, that's okay. We'll talk about you later when you're not around. And we can.
You're making me blush. See, you're making me all red now. I feel left out already.
No, that's okay. Well,
yeah.
that's we'll get to more of that later too.
You'll number me later, okay?
Yeah, we'll number you later. Right. Well, I'm so excited to have you all be part of this. Because part of the reason I invited both the two of you and Laura and Amy Kim was just because you all are folks that when we get together just randomly wherever it may be, whether it's we bump into each other at a hospital like Jorge and I did, we can't even remember when that was, or we show up at a dining hall somewhere in North Carolina. Micky, the last time I think we actually sat together.
Yeah.
I adore both of you, and we just kind of pick up. So, but let's talk about me for just a minute. Do you remember when we met? Now, Jorge's, I think ours might be easier, but I'm trying to remember. But so I'm gonna start with Micky. Micky, we've talked about this before. Do you remember when we actually met for the first time?
I don't remember. I feel like
I don't remember either.
It's either Twitter and then somehow in person, or it was, a conference or something.
Yeah, that's always safe, right? It's a conference.
Right. I'm like, there's gotta be a conference somewhere in there that we were both at.
Yeah, I love it. I actually think I was like, I can't remember. I remember conversations that we've had. Like, I remember, like, we got together here and we just kind of picked up. But I was like, I don't actually remember when we met for the first time. My guess is we were probably at some emergent thing, and we were two of the few people of color in a room, and so we talked.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
that's
were like,
probably
"Dee, dee, dee, dee,
what
dee, dee, dee,
happened.
dee, 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 dee," like trying to find each other.
It's like, I'm gonna wait and listen to make sure we jive on things, and I'm like, okay, there's a person. I'm
Yes,
going.
Yep.
always,
Yeah,
constantly. Yeah, I
yeah,
get
yeah,
that.
yeah. Jorge, when did we meet?
Yeah, it was in San Diego. I think it was Comic-Con. You were dressed up as some Star Wars character or something. Wasn't it some Star Wars convention? I definitely remember it was in San Diego, right? I think the conference was there, something like that. I think
Oh
so.
my goodness. I don't think
No?
that was it, though.
Oh, that wasn't it.
I've always wanted to go to a Comic-Con just
I
to
knew it. I knew it.
observe. I've never been brave enough or really into any particular thing enough to
Mm.
go. But you know what? I love the passion of people who go to any con
Yeah.
thing and like are all that. It was San Diego, I believe, though. Jorge. So I think I
Oh,
knew of
see?
you. I think I, I think I might have seen you online at some point, or on Twitter or Instagram or something, and I was probably stalking you because I thought you were cool, and
Probably.
you probably blocked me.
Yes,
And
did
and
for sure.
and then we met. So where did we actually meet? Do you remember? Want to tell the story?
It was in San Diego,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
And actually, it was at the beach.
It was.
We were. It
You're
was at
making
the
this sound so
beach.
glamorous.
It was
Wow.
at the beach. No, it was definitely at the beach. Oh shoot! Turn off your cell phones, people. So we were actually part of a movement there, right? Of a protest. It was during the time when I think a bunch, which continues to this day, right? A bunch of migrants were trying to really, cross the border, and there was a military response to that, right? And where actually was it smoke grenades or any of the military started, the National Guard or some started throwing, things over into Mexico, right? And attacking these families. So it was a response to that. That's what I remember. And we were there, right? As to really make it clear that the military, shouldn't be getting involved, and of course also saying migrants should be let in, right? Through the
Yep.
asylum process. And I mean, I'm down for just tearing down the walls, right? But that's what we were there. And I think I just don't remember if we actually met while we were handcuffed because we got arrested.
Yeah, I think we hung out. I think we might have been in the same van.
Yes, we were.
That's right. Yeah, we were in the same van with about, I don't know, 10, 15 other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually remember that van ride being one of the more community building experiences because we were like, there were people who were there for the first time, had never been to a civil disobedience action. There were others. And there was like this joy of being in that space together. Also being like, where are we going? I don't know if you remember.
I was panicking. I don't know why people were. I was thinking to myself, this is some fucked up shit because we're in this van. We could curse, right? Or no?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just realized. Okay, good. Okay. I don't know, kind of Star Wars fans I'm with, So. But we were put into a van, a cargo van, and I did not like. I was really kind of worried.
Well,
right?
They kept you cuffed. Yeah.
Yeah. They not only, they uncuffed everyone else, but they only kept me cuffed. Then they isolated me and took, I don't know how many pictures of me. Like, we're very, very intentional about get this guy right here. Right. And then took me alone, who knows where in the middle of the mountains, and then brought me back to everyone else.
Yes. Well, I remember we were sitting in that line before kind of the push happened, and you and another person next to them, like they had their eyes on the two of you. Like you were like bigger brown men, and like they weren't gentle with me, but they were certainly not as rough as they were with the two of you.
Well, it was me and this Muslim brother that was right next to me. So one of the things I remember was, and this is where I'm going to get critical, right? The leaders that were supposed to be leading us decided to stop leading us. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Because before that we had a whole, pumping us up and telling us we're going to go out there and this and that, and then once it got intense, they stepped back.
I do. Oh yeah, we won't call out names.
No, we're not gonna call out.
I remember,
and I said, "This is some fucked up shit." So then I remember, like, fuck it. I'm gonna keep telling people, keep pushing forward. We're not gonna get.
Yep.
I was pissed, right? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep, like, not saying attack and punch these
right
border patrols, but I'm gonna use my body, right? And that's why we're here. And I think I was telling us, keep going, sit down, step forward. Like, it was just this whole strategy I remember having.
Yeah.
And they didn't
I do remember. So Mickey, we had these like adjudicatory like names, which was great, right? It was bringing visibility, and who were at the front of the line, and you would know these names. And so when it started to get a little bit more like you could tell the posturing was starting to happen, you look back and they're like,
yes,
3 rows back, and we're originally had committed to being arrested with the rest of us, and you could just see folks stepping back. And the main leader from oh my gosh, ACS, who's American Friends Service Committee, who's organized it. Do you remember how he got chased down? Like they crossed the line and chased him down, pulled him. Anyway, well, that's how Jorge and I met, for the first time, and then we've.
So not Comic-Con then. Darn.
That was not Comic-Con. All right, so I want to get to know you a little bit more. Let folks know a little bit about you. So I asked these questions to Amy, Kim, and Laura as well. But what's a smell that reminds you of your childhood? Mickey, I'll invite you to go first. What's a smell that reminds you of your childhood?
Well, that's it's interesting because I even start to do a comparison in my brain. My mom, who I lost to COVID early on in the pandemic, was not a cook. Okay, my mother. So my childhood was not full of like the smell of homemade meals. Just wasn't her thing. But if I think back to even maybe my grandmother's house, so her mother, I spent most time with my extended family on my mother's side, and kind of two things that come up simultaneously is that my grandmother made these peach turnovers. That's what we called them. They were like little peach pies. And so I have both the smell memory of that. I don't yet know how to make them. I'm pretty sure that my mother had the recipe, and so I need to get her recipe book for my stepdad and see. But then also an awful smell. If you know what chitterlings are, often called chitlins.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
My grandma would make them at holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. And my uncle and my grandfather would torture me with the smell because it smells disgusting. I hear they taste delicious, but they smell so bad that I can't get past the smell. I'm very smell oriented, so I can't get past it. And I just remember also being tortured. They would just make fun of me like, "Oh, you gotta eat this. Oh, you should eat this." So it's like the holidays were both of those smells mixed together. Something I was so happy to smell, and then just the torture of the chitlins being pushed in my face and like, "Oh, you should eat these." So I think that's my childhood, both love and torture.
So Filipinos have a similar dish. It's called dinuguan, which is chocolate meat, and it's peasant food, right? It's everything left over on the pig traditionally.
Yeah,
chop it up, pour in the blood. It starts red, turns brown, and there's always like that's our measurement of how Filipino you are, as well. Like if you eat this. Because it's so like if you just think about it, you watch it get made, and it's very interesting. Like in our my kids will eat it, but they don't love it. But they also it's like they're like there's something rich about the thing itself, which is always fascinating to me. And but that when you were talking about that the Filipino version is dinuguan, which if you look at it, it's basically blood that's been boiled so much that it turns brown with pig snout and pig ears.
Sounds delicious.
It really does.
Over hot rice. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Jorge, your smells that remind you of your childhood.
Oh gosh, unfortunately, this just happened to me yesterday. It was just, and it's not a good memory, but I'll
Mhm.
share it because it did just happen. So when you brought that up, it just made me think, man, I just was talking about smells yesterday. So, was microwave popcorn, and I say that because I can't remember the last time I had microwave popcorn. It's been years. Usually, I just pop popcorn on an actual pot myself, right? But the something about the smell coming out from a microwave reminded me of when we used to visit my stepdad in prison for a long time, and one of the things, and we did it for like 4 years straight, visiting him, and one of the things we would always get is popcorn from the vending machine and pop it into the microwave, and
Wow.
so every time I get that smell, I'm transported back to my childhood because that
Wow.
happened while I was like in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, and it's just. I think that's why maybe I don't do microwave popcorn because it's not a good memory. I hated fucking getting, going there,
Mm.
waiting in line for 3-4 hours and only
Yeah.
having like a 30-minute visit and then heading back 2-3 hours back home. Because of course, when people are incarcerated, they make sure you're
Yep.
far away from family and make it hard for family to visit you, right? So,
Right.
but I've been fortunate to not to be positive is I live with my mom right now, and of course everything is just she
Yep.
is a cook, and she just made mole last night, so that's always going to take me back growing up. She just even a couple of days made tripas, which is guts, right? And so I see
Mm.
her grabbing the guts and pouring water through it, cleaning it, and which is pretty nasty, but we like it. It's like so so I've been eating a lot of food that I haven't eaten in a long time as a child. So
Mm.
I could go on and on about that, but I had to share that smell because it just happened to me yesterday
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
popcorn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing what kind of those, like, you just all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where am I? Like, it's just a surreal experience like that.
And it's just
I had my the
and it's a strong, like, for me it was 1 second, and I had to really snap out of it and remind myself
mm,
I'm not in that place anymore. I'm right here, safe, right? And like,
mm.
yeah, so it's powerful. Yeah, those smells will take you back.
Yeah.
Mine I shared last week, which so I have two really. That one is I shared last time with Lauren is the smell of mothballs. Like
Mothballs?
it's my yeah, like my grandma, my Chinese side grandma used to have mothballs everywhere in her house, like in the closets, in the drawers, and everywhere. And so whenever like, it's a weird smell, right? Because if you just like, oh, that's weird, but it reminds me of being in my grandma's house. Like that's
Hmm.
what it smelled like when you walked into a room. And the food one, though, is my grandfather, my Filipino side. His adobo was like our family. That's the only way to make adobo is my grandfather's way. And my grandmother was not a cook. My mom cooks for survival. My stepdad, my white stepdad, cooks better Filipino food than my mom does, and so the vinegary soy smell of adobo is
Mm.
that does it for me. So it
Hmm.
reminds me of my, and tried to pass at least one recipe on to my kids in that regard. So all right, so thank you all for sharing that. All right, so let's just talk about. We're going to kind of get to know you a little bit. So something in the world that you just don't understand why people like it, and it could be political, it could be taste, it could be whatever. And I'll start. I used to be like, the joke for me this week has been I've watched more NFL this week than I have in the last 5 years combined, and it's been 30 minutes. Like, I just happened, it was on TV and I just happened to be, but ever since Cap and all the other stuff, and I compartmentalize myself for baseball because I love baseball, but just giving up on the NFL. And I do, I get why people like it, but there's just, it's so violent. The way they've handled all of the race stuff has just been terrible, and the way they continue to, and I know that a lot of folks love it, and it's, I have family members that were at huge parties on it. But that's one of the things for me that I have no time for anymore is the NFL. And I just, even when I cry, like, and I find it brings out the worst in me. Like, the reason I watched a little bit of the Niners game was because I hate Aaron Rodgers so much, and the reason that I watched a little bit of the Tampa game was because I don't like Tom Brady. Like, the reason I'm watching it is so I could watch people lose, not because I was a big fan of the Niners. So that's mine right now. Is like, oh, why is this still here?
Yeah, you enjoy people being in misery.
Apparently,
Yeah,
that is what it is. But isn't that a weird thing? Like we applaud how hard somebody gets hit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's
that's why you have boxing. We cheer.
Yeah, I can't watch boxing either. My brother was training to be an MMA fighter for a while, and I went and watched him one time, and I watched him get choked out, pass out, and then come back and keep going. And I was like, yeah, I can't do it. All right, so there's mine. Jorge, what do you don't understand why people like? And if you start with Star Wars, I think we might lose listeners. But that's okay.
That's where I was going. Well, I just don't get it.
Any science fiction?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, I love science fiction. No, I mean, I can't really say I've gone into Star Wars, but there's like Battlestar Galactica. I love that.
Old school.
Sci-fi. Yeah, I mean Edward James Olmos. Chicano actor. What was the question again? Why don't I like people?
No. No, it was you don't understand why people like whatever.
Interesting enough, sometimes I think church a lot, actually, even though I work at the church. If I'm honest, it's so institutionalized, and I ask myself, why are we doing this over and over? It seems like the past few years, right? And I just don't understand, how big, because to me, church is still big here in America, right? Even though people like to say it's been dwindling down, but I don't really see it as that, especially in a particular sect of religion, right? As we see it in our politics. So it's just confusing to me how people could really love church, but yet we have so many problems still in this world. Like it just doesn't connect with me. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I remember when folks know I had COVID and I was out for 2 months and I pastored church, and and there have been other times where I'm like, I can totally see why people don't go. Right?
Yes.
Right. I mean,
absolutely.
I'll go out on a Sunday. I take my Sunday when I get a Sunday off. I go hang out where everybody is, and I'm like, huh, interesting, right?
And I know, I mean, community, right? We all see community. We're all trying for community, and church does provide that. But there's this whole other side that just doesn't, again, connect. And but
yeah. Micky, what about you? What is something that you're like, I don't understand why people like blank?
I have two things in my mind, so I was trying to figure out which direction I was going to go in because they're entirely different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll go with beer. I don't understand. I wish I could like beer. I do, because
I am right there with you.
Right, like I like wine. I stand that, and beer is essentially like wine from grains. Like it, you can be just as snobby about beer, but it tastes so bad. I'm just like, I try. I've tried, but I just don't get it. So, I encourage people to be beer snobs and to drink good beer, even though I won't drink it myself. But I just...
it's like Comic-Con. I love that people are excited about their beer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll even go to a beer festival.
I do love my beer. I do love my beer. I mean, I'm not a snob about it. I just drink Modelo's, but it's always with tequila. It's the only way I would have beer.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not like some of my friends who are all, I don't know, there's all these like percentages of hops and I don't know what else goes on into it. I'm not that sophisticated about it. I don't know. It's just like my Modelo. Please.
It's a beer.
Just in my tequila shot or mezcal shot and I'm good. Yeah, people, you're right. Making like beer festivals. That doesn't intrigue me at all. Like, yeah. Yeah, I had a friend have me try this hoppy beer. It just took one beer and it really got me pretty. It was strong, but then it started hurting my throat. I don't know. I'm like, why would you drink this? Like, it's too hoppy. Like, it's too something. It's just wild, But I've always seen like a white man's thing, so I stay away from it too.
Yeah, I was hanging out in Nashville. This is a few years ago with some friends, some colleagues, and we went to this beer place, and there are beer flights. And like, I don't know why I keep trying, because I think there is this like, I want to like it.
Yeah.
My wife likes beer, though my wife likes apparently cheap like beer that you can't get at fancy places, which is great. But we went and we had sour beer.
Oh
and
yeah,
that-
sour. Now,
Fermented, yeah.
yes.
That was-
Sometimes I can get with a sour because it's like sweeter.
Oh,
I don't know.
You know what? And I had a hibiscus sour beer. That was pretty good, actually.
oh, that's no. It was like nasty on nasty.
Bruce. You don't know what you're talking about.
It was.
Bruce.
I was like, oh, this is worse than just regular beer.
You're hanging out with the wrong people, Bruce.
Apparently, I used to drink this beer, and I'm sorry if this is going to be terrible. It's called Tequila. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tequila. It's a beer that had the tequila mixed into it.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because I was young, and that was probably during my post Bartles and James time.
Not you personally. Like
why would anybody?
Create like what is it? Like it's already mixed. Is a beer mixed in with tequila already?
It is, yeah. Tequila.
Tequila.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, it's basically It was like a wine cooler, but beer and tequila.
This podcast ain't gonna work out anymore.
I gotta go. Yikes.
Yeah, let's get out of here, Mick. Tequila. I don't know what. Do you have a podcast, Mickey?
Right.
We can do a better one.
Be a part of instead.
Oh. Bruce makes bad choices.
All right, so
we just learned.
Well, that is not a new fact in the world. That
Mickey had a second one though.
What was your other one, Mickey? Go ahead and share that.
Horror movies. I don't understand why people like horror movies, want to be scared. I mean, first of all, I just think the world is scary enough as it is. So I can't do a lot of blood and gore. So even movies that aren't horror movies but are really violent, I can't do. But horror movies where the specific thing that you're after is to feel fear, to be scared. I'm just like, I just don't. And I mean, the weird thing is, I do love a good murder show. I love murder shows. I am an abolitionist, or striving to be an abolitionist to my core. I am like, defund the police. I want a world free of prisons, the whole thing.
Yep.
But boy, I will watch CSI for 5 hours in a row. And I will watch a cult show. I mean, so it's like, it's weird. I don't want to be scared. I don't want somebody to jump out with a knife, but give me a dead body and then CSI's trying to figure out. But see, here's the thing.
Let's figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying?
I have realized that it's essentially fantasy. It is the same as sci-fi. It's just not science, the science part necessarily. Like, we know no local police department has like a big TV screen where they're like, shh, 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 here's the picture and here's the. They don't have any of that equipment. They're not finding DNA in 30 seconds. Like, none of that is happening. And 9 times out of 10, it's like a white guy who thought he could go on a date with this woman and murder her. And so it's like the fantasy of like white men always being, put away for their crimes. I think maybe that's it, but there's not a lot. Like, it starts with the dead body. There's not a lot of like hacking the person to death and jump scares. So I think that's why it's different for me. Like, it's it's all the stuff after the violence,
Right. Yeah, I'm not a horror person. Jorge, are you a horror movie person at all?
No, especially I feel these days horror movies are about torturing people.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's too close to home. Like rich people, right? It's rich people not knowing what to do with their money and paying like people to capture people to torture them and enjoying that.
Yeah.
It just that's probably really happening, so
yeah, I can't watch anything. I feel I often feel like with movies, like there are movies I should watch, and then there are movies that I just don't have the emotional investment to watch. Like, I just don't. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a movie that like, I don't know if you all saw Precious from years ago. Like, so
I remember it. Mm-hmm.
It was like you super emotional investment. It's like, watching, I tell people Just Mercy, right? If you're going to watch this, right? Just prepare yourself that at the end you are going to be exhausted, but for good reason. I don't want to be exhausted watching a horror movie. I have no interest in being at the end of that, being so scared. But I used to. It's interesting. When I was younger, I went to all those. When, as a teenager, we would go, and my kids have gone to go see him. Not my youngest in particular is like, it's not that scary. And I'm like, all right, really? Okay. My other one's not as much, but yeah, it's so Jorge, are you a TV movie person at all? Like, do you have a genre that you do like?
Oh, I love TV. Yeah, I love movies. I mean, it's I wouldn't say I have a specific genre. I watch a little bit of everything.
Yeah. What have you binged last? What's the last thing you've binged?
The last thing I binged? Wow, what was it? I can't remember.
Or what are you watching now?
Currently, we've been watching. I'm not even going to remember the name of it, but it's about heaven, people going to heaven, but it's in a comical sense. See, I'm not going to remember because I just watch it with my partner. I just join her all the time.
The Good Place?
Is it the one where it's
The Good Place? Yes, The Good Place.
Oh, that's good. I love The Good Place.
I've been enjoying that.
holy forking shirt balls. Yeah.
Yes. So we've been watching that, and I mean, I have like my usual movies like The Wire that I go to back or Surprise. I do like those mafia gangster movies a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I can watch some of that. My wife like Sopranos, Game of Thrones, like when there's violence in it. Totally not.
Yeah.
But I can watch that, but I don't want the horror. And this is where I think it becomes like, what's gratuitous? That's always irrelative. I'm like, well, I don't like gratuitous violence, but I can watch, gun battles apparently, or I'm a big Fast and the Furious person, which I admit all the time. One of the most diverse movie franchises ever. In any case, that's a whole other.
Wait, do you drive like one of those fast cars too? Like not only do you dress up Star Wars, but now you have probably like a Honda or something.
So I used to when I was younger. So I had my license suspended when I was 19 because of racing.
See, I knew it.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have a Chevy Bolt now, and I always tell the kids I'm going to see if I can drift in a EV. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're ridiculous, Dad. You're ridiculous." I just
you just embarrassed them, Bruce.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My stepfather, for some ungodly reason, gave me his Toyota Celica in 1985. And at that point, a Toyota Celica was a sports car. I mean, I look back on that time and I really I'm surprised that I'm not dead. I mean, I got pulled over going about 110 on I-5, which is one of our main interstates here in California.
That's really fast.
It's stupid.
Wow.
Like it was, and that's felony level, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
And they, this is privilege. Like it ended up being a misdemeanor for me, and I had to go to but that one instance, how that could have turned my life. I always think about like that one thing. If I looked different, or if I would have said something different, or if I had a different parentage that didn't know what to work the system, like what my life would have been like had I been convicted of a felony, reckless driving or whatever it was at that point. So anyway, I don't know how we got that from movies, but there we are.
But I'm like Mickey. SVU is a show that if I just want something in the background, I throw it on. And I'm watching it, but then I forget all my chores because next thing you know, I'm trying to find out how they're gonna figure it out. But yeah, it's
Robin, my wife, every once in a while comes in and it's like, okay, abolitionist, why are we liking FBI shows? I'm like, I know, it's
bad.
I'm like, I know
NCIS.
I know.
Right. And like SVU, well, like they're trying to capture these men, evil men, the patriarchy that's raping women and all. They seem like, wow, I'm really cheering for cops on this show. What the fuck's going on?
What is happening? It's working,
man. Yeah, I guess it's true. I am full of contradictions, and it's just like, it's crazy.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's like, yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then I go into this whole existential crisis. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I'm a fool.
And that may be every Tuesday. I mean, that may be the difference, right? I mean, I think in some ways, though,
it's for real.
Shit.
Yeah. It is. But if we're not having, in some ways, though, if you're not having that next step, though, like, okay, because then you're like, you are, I think, in some ways, we're absorbing it in a way that's not acknowledging our compartmentalization or our need to, like, just a way to unplug or whatever. Because there are certainly people where that's exactly why it's being made, right? That folks, so that we have this different image, right? Yeah.
There's no doubt. I mean, I believe TV is used to want to train us and teach us how to believe and see the world. Like, it's just, so whatever these networks choose to put on is for a specific reason, I believe. So
Yep. Yep. And that lens, I think, is so important for us to have and teach and pass on, right? It's like, yeah, you can unplug and see this, but what's that lens that you're watching this with? It's like, okay. And I have three kids, and two of them are in college at super hippie liberal arts schools. And so everything that it's so fun for me now because everything they see has a lens that is even more radical than mine. Like, it is so fun. Like, we were having this last conversation about anarchy, and we're old. We're like, anarchy, what? And they're like, well, no, because that's your version of a very like capitalistic sense of what anarchy is, and they're like starting to educate us on these other things. So now when we watch TV, they're like, we can't watch that. Like, what is that? Like, yes, you're right. Your parents suck.
Give them 10 more years. They're gonna be watching stuff. Yeah, just.
I am not telling them that. I know. When you get older, you will be
right. It'll go very well. Believe me, it's good.
I'm sure. All right. So, what are you watching, Mickey? Is there anything that, besides, you've already shown a few things, but anything you're binging these days that folks might want to check out?
Well, I don't know. I read somewhere or saw somewhere in the pandemic that like one, like a trauma coping mechanism is rewatching things you've already watched because you know how it ends. So you're not, like none of your anxiety is activated. Right. And so I was like, oh,
yeah.
That's why I've been rewatching shows.
Yes.
And I don't usually do that. I am the kind of person who watches a movie one time. I rarely have movies that I like buy or that I watch over and over. I've never been one to like start a series over and watch it until the pandemic. And so now I watched from the beginning the show Medium. If you remember that from a long time ago, like there's a woman, who's a psychic and she works for the DA. Again, more cop shows, and I watched the entire series. I don't think I'd watched the whole thing before, but I did watch that all the way through. And I will say, anyone who really knows me knows that one of my favorite shows, which I did watch from the beginning all the way up until this season, which we are currently in episode 8, and literally my favorite time of the week is when I get a notification in my email on Wednesday that a new episode of Catfish has dropped.
God.
It makes my entire day. And
I'm checking it out.
Jorge, do you know? Okay, so Catfish.
I want to check it out.
I don't
know it.
Start with the movie because it started with a movie. The main guy, Neve, he was catfished. Catfishing is when like you meet somebody online and they use a picture that isn't them, right? And so this was a long time ago, like before this was really happening. And so him and his brother made a movie of his experience trying to find out who this woman really was that he was in love with. But they made a whole show about it on MTV, and it's been 8 seasons.
Oh, it's an MTV show.
Love this fucking show so much. And I have like whole theories about how it actually like Neve and now it's Cammie as the co-host. Neve and Cammie, like the way they actually show empathy and demonstrate empathy, like people don't get cussed out. Like you would think, okay, this person has been telling you they're really, somebody who's a banker who makes all this money and I'm going to take care of you and la la la. And you really find out that it's like a 25-year-old who has no job and doesn't really, and lives 10 states away and, whatever.
My anxiety is just like up here at this point. I just feel so bad for everybody involved. It's awesome.
The way
this is the perfect show for you, Bruce. I mean,
it's so good because you see people struggling with their gender. You see people struggling with their sexuality. Like often it's somebody who, I really do like women, but I can't say that because I haven't come out to my family. So I pretended to be a guy with this woman or whatever. And so it's like gender, sexuality, coming into who you are. It's, people are afraid they're going to be rejected and da 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 da. Right. And so, but you would think it'd be like Maury Povich and people would be like, I hate you. And no, it's usually they're able to come to some understanding of why did you do this? What were you looking for? And sometimes they still like each other. Like, it's such a fascinating scope into human connection and behavior and desire and all of these things. And it's an MTV show. Like, It's so weird. And just how much we long for connection. People will text a person. I'm telling you, not have a phone call
Right.
or a video call for 5 years and be like, this is my boyfriend. I'm like, how? So
Yeah.
that is my favorite show, and I will watch Catfish until the day they take it off the air. I love that show so much. I love it.
I can pretty much guarantee you that a segment on catfish and breaking it down was not on my bingo card for this episode. But there you go. We're learning all. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I can say that it freaks me out even thinking about somebody being catfished on both sides. Like my empathy and anxiety about people's feelings just are like so, but I might be on that. I might watch an episode just to feel what you're feeling. I might
You
give
should
that. I'm gonna
watch
give that
because
a shot.
I think the empathy,
Yeah.
the way that they show, especially the hosts, show empathy to both sides, and then help the two people have empathy for each other versus it just devolving into a
Right.
blame thing or like hatred or whatever. And there's some pretty big deception. There's a lot of pain and
Oh, I'm
feelings, and
sure.
still, it's like they don't. No one is disposed of. Like there's no kind of like everyone's humanity is still in full view, which, I other than Neve's personal experience, it's like, where did y'all get the training or have this understanding to be able to hold so much compassion for, people who have not been communicating well, who have hurt each other, who, or because often they've lied to each other and so it's just really
Right.
interesting to see that human interaction
Hmm.
unfold. So I honestly think, change makers, clergy, people who are interested in helping people could learn a lot from that show.
Yeah, sounds like Bruce. I mean, this seems like you need this to reconcile with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think you definitely need some of that. This is perfect.
I've had enough of those two guys in my life as of late. Like I can't. So the
Catfish
real
is gonna change your life, though. Watch.
the real measure, Mickey, is whether you listen to Catfish Do you listen to Catfish podcasts? Are there
They have
any?
it
Like
as
there must be podcasts.
no, they do have it as a podcast, but I
Okay.
haven't listened to it. No. I
You
need
haven't
to up
done
my
that deep.
game. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. You all are wonderful. This is so good. Just one last question for you as we end our time. What's filling up your, like, what are you passionate about right now? Like if people have said, like if I were to say, you've been watching Jorge over the last couple of months or you're whatever, and these are the things that Jorge is really passionate about right now. Same for Mickey. But Jorge, what are you passionate about right now? What's filling up your feed? Like what are the things you want to put out in the world there?
In all seriousness, I think I've been struggling with that these days to really
Hmm.
do things that I'm passionate about. Unfortunately, I mean, I think like many of us am not only burned out, but just done with everything. For the past 2 years, I've lost a lot of let's say I just lost my way and I'm trying to find my way back, right? So, but yeah, I mean, like cooking, I mean, thanks to my mom, I used to be very passionate about that. Just your typical, I feel like many of us have, like reading and things that I've just not been able to do. I used to do a lot of strength training and I just love strength, like very just, yeah, I've dropped
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? So I these days when I get a chance, I sleep a lot. I just love sleeping and my mom will call me flojo. I'm like lazy, even though I'm like, I just put in 65-hour work weeks. Like you're always
Yeah.
sleeping. Yeah, when you see me, I'm sleeping, and you think I'm always sleeping, right? But anytime I for the first time, anytime I can take a nap, I'm taking it. So
Yep. Good. Yeah. No, I think
maybe
you're right.
that's it. I'm passionate about sleep.
About rest.
I will easily, like, to me 10 a.m. was really early. I try to get up at 10, 11 a.m. and I don't care if I'm sleeping in at all. Before, definitely no. I'll be up 6, 7 in the morning because that's a capitalistic thing to do for some of us, I think, but not anymore. I'm 10 a.m. was early these days for me. So I'm waking up still. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's I mean, I think we're hearing that from a lot of, I know that's been from you as well. It's like, what are we doing? And what were we doing and why and all that? Yeah. No, thank you.
And like you, I do love my basketball and baseball. I'm very passionate about those sports. I just, Warriors fans, Oakland A's fans. So yeah.
I didn't know you were an Oakland A's fan.
Oh yes, since I was a little kid. Yeah.
Wait, just a minute. Let me.
Yeah.
This is bad podcasting.
Yeah. You're never supposed to leave your screen. Oh wow! You got
I'm showing right now. I'm showing them a bucket hat with pins from the 70s all the way out. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some games because I have partial seasons. Like that's one of my splurges is we do partial seasons and I go.
Yeah.
All right.
I miss
it's
it.
The day. Yeah. Mickey, what about you? What's driving you to this? What are you passionate about?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, Jorge, thanks for being honest and realistic about that. Like, I'm passionate about survival. Like, again, we are living through a pandemic. Like, I want to survive. I'm trying to survive. And so many of us have not made it, especially among folks of color. And so I think that's a really good thing to be passionate about right now, which includes rest, right? Like we have for so long, even in ministry or faith-rooted spaces, rest, sleep, care for ourselves, eating good food, like none of that has been prioritized, right? Because it's like we're always under this urgency. So I actually think that makes sense and is appropriate for the time we're in. So, but we always think we have to come up with some other answer. So I appreciate, you just saying what is real for you in this moment. I will say that that there are a couple of things that come up for me. I mean, I really am serious about the survival piece because I feel like I've been taking the pandemic really seriously. And so that has been a focus of mine is trying to survive. But in addition to that, I'm really interested in how we skill up, or I'm wondering about this, how we skill up in like being able to work through conflict and care for one another when we hurt each other. I mentioned abolition, like we're talking about abolition now in a way that we didn't ever really before, right? We're talking about how we don't use, I mean, like you said, Jorge, having the way we put people in the prison system and they are literally removed from their communities. They are isolated away. We get rid of people. That's what we do. If somebody, is convicted of a crime, whether they did it or not, whether the penalty is appropriate, any of those things, they get put away. But the thing is, we do that up and down the line. We do it in a million different ways to each other individually.
Oh, we lost your sound, Mickey.
Mickey, you're muted.
Well, we lost Mickey's sound. But anyway, are you back, Mickey? Nope. All right. So, Mickey we'll try to get back on. We'll get sound in a minute, but I'll share mine while we're waiting for Mickey to get back on. Are you back on yet? It is for me. I've been watching. I have a couple of friends that are being recalled on a school board here in the Bay Area, and watching the way that parents and school people, administrators and teachers and everybody, the way that they're treating one another or teachers are being treated. It just pains me. And I don't have kids in the K-8 system anymore, but it's just to watch the way that we are demonizing, especially teachers.
Right.
It's just, it breaks my heart. And I also know that if I were a parent and I have siblings who have younger children, I can't imagine trying to navigate that right now with the way things are going. And I am legitimately praying for some healing. I don't even know what it is, but just something, because it seems like anxiety levels and then when this comes out, it'll been a couple of weeks, the school district where a parent gets up and threatens to show up with loaded guns if masks are in Virginia. I mean, it's just like, what is going on? I mean, that for me just breaks my heart. It's heart-wrenching to watch all that dialogue happen and things. So that's been something
for sure
heavy. Yeah. Anyway. Mickey, are you back? Let's see if we can hear Mickey.
Yeah.
Nope, no sound, Mickey. That's okay. Mickey we don't have sound.
Can you hear us, Mickey? Mickey.
This is, if you were to watch this on the podcast, you'd see that Mickey is doing stuff on her screen and we're all hanging out on ours. But anyway, I'll go ahead and end us now. You're all going to get to know Mickey and Jorge a little more. So after these are back.
Well, that's it. You're just giving up on Mickey like that, huh, Bruce?
Nope.
Bruce, come on. Have more compassion, Bruce. Man, Bruce. Don't just get rid of her. Come on. Have some hope. Hey, Mickey, I got you, Mickey. I'm trying to keep you in here.
As the podcast gets to 90 minutes, people are like, is this just the next half hour? Trying to figure out. I'm trying to look at settings on my side. I don't have. I can't do it. All right. So hopefully you're
Mickey, as long as Mickey remembers who didn't give up on her, that's all I care about.
We did not give up on.
I didn't. You did. I didn't.
Oh, I love it. I invite all these people to be co-hosts because they just will. It's just showing the love the whole time. That's really what it is. All right. So we'll give one chance, Mickey. Do we have you back?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, we're gonna end now.
Mickey. Sorry, Mickey. I tried.
We're going to end now. Again, the next time you hear from us, we'll have some guests on, and there'll be two other, it'll be some combination of Jorge and Mickey, Amy, Kim, or Laura as we start lining up our guests for the rest of the season. I'm really excited. Thank you both for hanging out with me a little bit today. And remember, you all, subscribe and review and all that kind of stuff wherever you see your podcast. And thanks for hanging out with BRC and Friends.
Can't wait to get her checks.
BRC and Friends was produced, written, and recorded by Bruce Reyes-Chow with zero help from his dogs Vespa or Bernie. Please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to BRC and Friends wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, please follow, like, tag, and share on all the platforms via BRC and Friends or B Reyes-Chow. Thanks for listening to BRC and Friends.